County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Mercado.
Here.
Freeholder Pomares.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Seabold, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Here.
Oh boy, Mike.
I'm going to ask that we please stand for the salute to the flag. I'm going to ask Freeholder Luciano to lead us in the salute.
Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask that we please remain standing for a moment of silence, and in particular, this evening, the county lost a true and dear friend in our county family, and a longtime resident of Essex County, Under Sheriff Kevin Ryan. I'm going to ask that we please keep Under Sheriff Kevin Ryan and his family in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. At this point in the meeting, I'm going to ask District 4 Freeholder Len Luciano, who represents the Township of Roseland on the Freeholder Board, to offer greetings on behalf of the board. And also, Freeholder, would you please introduce any elected officials here from the Township of Roseland and allow them to make whatever remarks they would like to make. And before you do that, Freeholder, I would like to also thank the borough for allowing us to be here tonight. We deeply, deeply appreciate that. And we look forward to our continued partnership on working on behalf of the residents of Roseland. So thank you. Freeholder Luciano.
Thank you, Freeholder President Gill. Yeah, I think that's first and foremost. Let's thank the Borough of Roseland for letting us use their facility and put this all together. As everyone is aware, when we take our show on the road, it isn't easy. We have to make sure that the Borough Hall is empty, nothing else is going on. We also have to bring all kinds of equipment. But again, as the Freeholder said, I am the District 4 Freeholder. My name's Len Luciano, and I've had the proud honor and distinction, a humbling feeling to represent the 11 West and North Essex towns since 2011, which includes the Borough of Roseland. As has been tradition over the years, before I landed on the Freeholder Board, was that the District Freeholder would get to choose a couple of municipalities every year. Each District Freeholder would choose a different one or two municipalities every year that we would visit. This, since 2011, is the first time that we are here in the Borough of Roseland. I made it quite clear that I'd like to move around my district, even though it's quite large. Doesn't matter, dispelling any rumors of party affiliation of the local municipalities. We are partners with all of them, including the Borough of Roseland, which we have just recently been doing a lot of road projects with in conjunction with the local municipality and their engineer. So at that, I want to say thank you to the rest of the board that's here, Freeholder President Gill, Freeholder Vice President Richardson, our District 5 Freeholder Carlos Palmeras, and our District 1 Freeholder Bobby Mercado. Unfortunately, as the summer months are here, we have lost some of our Freeholder board. We are a Freeholder board of 9, but I know with high school graduation and so many other things going on now, vacation time, we have lost some of our freeholders for this evening. I would also like to take a moment to recognize, before I bring up the one elected official from the township that I see is here, I'd also like to recognize that on the administration side, who's holding it down tonight, our meeting, Jay Coltree is a resident of the Borough of Roseland, and he'll be running our meeting on behalf of the administration. So thank you, Jay. We're in your hometown as well. But that brings me up, without further ado, recently elected council member in November of 2017, a very dear friend of mine that I grew up with, and that would be Councilman Chris Barty. Chris.
you, Freeholder. So tonight, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the governing body of Roseland and on behalf of the borough of Roseland. Thank you for coming here tonight and holding your meeting here. We'd like to thank you for all of your support, of this Freeholder board and also of the County of Essex and everything that you do, the road projects, parks, recreation, everything, and we really appreciate it, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there are none.
Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, let's move to the public comment session on agenda items. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, so we'll vote on every item on the agenda. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any agenda item, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay. Seeing none, if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. Again, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Marchione, co-chair of Caldwell's Environmental Commission. This past year, my commission has been involved in an initiative through a grant from Sustainable Jersey, and that initiative was to alert people to the issues of plastic bags and their reuse or their ban. And so for the past year, I have been encouraging folks not to use plastic bags. So this past Tuesday, my council in Caldwell passed a resolution, and I will read a little bit of it to you. Whereas the mayor and council encouraged the residents of Caldwell to decrease their use of single-use plastic bags, and then it explains all the harmful effects that it has, okay? And then we're also encouraging our merchants in town to encourage people by perhaps giving them an incentive to not use plastic bags, okay? To bring their own bag, and I've given the freeholders here a bag. So this is something, I hope all of you, how many of you have something like this at home that you could use to take to the market? Yes, please use it. Okay, this is certainly something that we can all do. The film that I had wanted to show, but I understand it's only a 5-minute limit on film, was called A Plastic Ocean. And if you Google that, all of you, it will give you a trailer, and you will see the incredible effects of plastics, what's happening in our oceans. It's affecting not only the fish, all the creatures, other creatures in the ocean, but ultimately it's infecting us, because as the fish ingest plastic, hello, we also ingest plastic. So this is certainly something to think about. So I urge you strongly that when you go to the beach this summer, take your reusable bag with you. Please, if you see anything in the sand, pick it up if it's trash, pick it up if it's plastic. We don't want that washing into the ocean, because this is certainly something that affects all creatures, and the poor creatures in the sea cannot speak for themselves. So I have a quote from Sylvia Earle, Dr. Sylvia Earle, and she says, "You might not care even if you know," and now you all know, "but you can't care if you don't know." So I hope you all use your bags, and I thank you so much, and perhaps the freeholders, perhaps next meeting, because it's still summer.
30 seconds.
Thank you, could make a resolution encouraging all the residents of Essex County to bring their reusable bags. So I thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue? Please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. Again, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. My name is John Tiefert. I am not here in any official capacity, so I suppose I'm affiliated with the town of South Orange as a 12-year resident, and I'd like to talk for a couple minutes about the recent reassessment and the changes in the property taxes in South Orange Village. I'm sure that this does not affect South Orange Village exclusively. However, the village is really the only set of numbers that I've taken a look at. So we were reassessed 2 years ago. My wife and I have lived in a part of the village called Tuxedo Park for 12 years. And part of the decision to buy the home included the amount of property taxes that we would need to pay. After this most recent assessment, despite New Jersey advertising and talking quite a big game about putting a cap on property taxes, our burden, our household burden, jumped 30%. My neighborhood's burden jumped 17%. So clearly we appealed this, and part of my motivation for being here, and first of all, I want to say, I've been here for 12 years. I'm happy to pay for nice things. I've paid my taxes every quarter. We appealed the taxes and filled out the forms according to the instructions online. We received a letter a couple weeks later saying that we were granted a hearing. Now, maybe the most frustrating thing was that at the hearing, we were told that the comparable properties that we submitted were all too young. We submitted homes that were sold 90 days after October 1st and should have submitted the year prior to October 1st. The county had a month of opportunity to say, you can resubmit in the next 3 weeks. We heard nothing. So we both took a day off of work, showed up, and were dismissed on a technicality. Now, the assessor said that the clerk who approves the hearing is not a lawyer. Very respectfully, you don't need to be a lawyer to read a calendar. I think that that is something maybe that they could check just to give us a heads up. On behalf of the other folks in my neighborhood, I talked to quite a few people recently. Some of my neighbors are thinking about moving. One of my neighbors, their tax burden jumped 50%. From the website, I see that at least one home in my neighborhood jumped 80%. That's almost double. If the state of New Jersey is capping at 2%, then I strongly encourage all of you to consider some mechanism that would slow down the possible jumps. Because if I'm looking at another 50%
Your time is almost up.
jump when they reassess in 5 years, that is a really significant thing to consider as far as staying in Essex County. So I thank you all for your time. Thank you.
If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
We're Tedesco, Roseland, New Jersey. It's like home week to me. I feel very comfortable here, as Mr. Barty would tell you. It's like nothing. I just really want to thank the freeholders for visiting Roseland. And the last time I believe we were here is about 14 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, around 203 or 204, right in there, when you visited all the towns in Essex County at one time in 1 year, 26 towns, whatever it was, 21 towns. The only one didn't visit was Essex Fells. All right. And I do want to thank you for the improvements on the roads of Eagle Rock Avenue, and I see you're doing Roseland Avenue. I want to thank our District 4 freeholder, Len Luciano, for the job that he's done for our area in Essex County, thinking of us in here. So again, thank you very much. I won't say that you were late 10 minutes. I'll let that go. But have a nice evening and enjoy Roseland.
Thank you. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, after all the members, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there's no one wishing to speak at this time. Would also just like to highlight for the record that all the issues that were raised here tonight will be responded to in writing by the board, and thank those for coming up before us and having the courage to speak tonight. Moving to our ordinances and resolutions on introduction and first reading, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Mr. President, there are 3. The first ordinance is a salary ordinance, County of Essex 2018 and 2019.
Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask this point in time our board counsel, Mr. Parlavecchio, to address ordinance number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. For ordinance number 1, the salary ordinance, after consulting with some of the board members, my recommendation is to adjourn this matter until the next meeting, keep it on the calendar for the next available meeting, which is July 11th. That would require a motion and a second, and a vote.
Would require a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Freeholder Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Seabold, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to ordinance number 2.
Ordinance number 2, bond ordinance providing for the improvements of the Essex County College in and by the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $3,700,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,875,000 bonds or notes of the county and $1,875,000 bonds or notes of the county entitled to the benefits of Chapter 12 of the laws of New Jersey of 1971 for financing such appropriation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Coltree, can we please explain the ordinance?
We have Mr. Acker here, our treasurer, here to explain for you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Mark Acker, I'm the Director of Finance Administration. As was indicated, this is a $3.7 million bond ordinance for the county college. It's what we refer to as Chapter 12, which essentially just states that the state will participate in half of the cost. So the 3.7, we're responsible for 1.85. The state is responsible for the other $1,850,000. There are 3 projects listed. There's a wellness center, a one-stop enrichment center, and renovations to a facility on Warren Street, which houses their international students. Again, all 3 combined for $3.7 million. Earlier this year, January, we passed a various multi-improvement ordinance, which combined with this $1,850,000 in debt comprises the $20 million that the county exec is sticking to. So it's all in accordance with our capital plan. It's for fiscal year 18, which concludes June 30th of this year, and we are anticipating selling these bonds in late August when we do our annual sale.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
Yeah. Mr. Acker, how does the state take care of its responsibility for their share of this project?
A good question. We sell the bonds, so we're going to sell the $3,700,000 in bonds. Half of them will be referred to as Chapter 12, so the investment community knows that. Upon the conclusion of the sale, we will send to the Treasurer's Office of Public Finance in Trenton, a debt service schedule for $1,850,000. They will make those payments every 6 months for the next 10 years on those bonds. We have it in our budget. We do some internal journal entries to realize the revenue and expend the money, even though they're wiring the money. So we sell the bonds. They pay the debt service on their half.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
And Mr. Acker, this is the last really this year we'll see of any other bonds or notes for capital improvements.
Correct.
Freeholders? Any questions or comments?
Can I clarify that?
Yes, Mr. Acker.
The college has been approved already for fiscal 19 for $7.2 million, which starts July. So I don't know if they're going to push us to get that on the books
Just
fall, yeah. Typically, we would do it early in January. That would be the only caveat.
So it might have to be done in the fall of this year, but
November, if they're pushing on the project.
it's still fiscal year 19.
Correct.
Okay.
It would be part of our 20 million starting in January.
Right. Okay. The 20 million in calendar year
There you go.
19, not fiscal. Okay. 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 Freeholders, any additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano. Second. Second by Freeholder Palmaris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please move to ordinance number 3.
Ordinance number 3. Bond ordinance appropriating $300,000 proceeds of obligations and certain other funds not needed for their original purposes and to be used for the sport utility vehicles and vans for Essex County College.
Thank you. Mr. Coltry?
Mr. President, we have Mark Acker here to explain, and we'll also have the Public Safety Director, Anthony Cromartie, from the college, if you have any other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Acker?
This is a reallocation of bond proceeds that were already sold for the college in fiscal 16, their chapters 12-16 allocation. They're asking us to take $300,000 from the $400,000 allocation for their print shop renovation, take that $300,000, reallocate it for college vans and police sports utility vehicles. No new bonds are being sold. Bonds were sold. It's just taking $300,000 from that 16 allocation and reallocating it for another purpose.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders? No. Seems fairly straightforward. Do I have a motion and a second?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Palmaris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to resolutions number 1 and 2, which I believe are Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget. We can read those resolutions into the into the record at a later time. It's been a long day. And Mr. Coltry.
Mr. President, Mr. Acker is here to explain both those resolutions.
Thank you again, Jay. I believe the first one is the amendment to the cash management plan. We're simply adding a bank, Regal Bank from Livingston, to our list of eligible depositories.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio.
Just the cash management plan is something the board takes care of at the beginning of every year, listing all the banks, and they can be added or deleted throughout the course of the year.
Okay. Mr. McInerney.
That pretty much wraps it up.
Okay. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Just a question, Mr. Acker, why this bank and why now?
The latter first, why now? They arranged a meeting with the administration, made a strong pitch. It was explained to them that we're not necessarily interested in demand deposit relationships, investment relationships for sure. They want the opportunity to be able to bid on our money. And this would allow that to occur.
Community-based.
Community, yeah.
Community-based bank.
Yes.
Okay. just to say, like to see that and like to see more of it. So,
Yeah, if they don't come up with great rates, there's
Right.
no business.
right. Understood. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do we have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano. Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson. Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 2.
Resolution, oh, you read it. Long day for me.
The second resolution is a resolution canceling outstanding checks against various bank accounts we have. Since I've been here, which was August of 11, we have not done this. We should be, and we will be in the future on an annual basis doing this. So this is the first time in several years that we've canceled checks, payroll account, election account, several other retirement accounts. We will keep a list of the checks that are canceled in our Office of Accounts and Controls. Excuse me, to the extent that any individual, vendor, or an employee from payroll steps forward and says, hey, I have a check from 2 years ago, and we have it on the list, we will reissue that check. So we have no intent of not honoring that obligation. It's just we have old outstanding checks that are essentially clogging up the system, so we're just canceling them, but we're not ignoring our obligation or liability on them. Again, several accounts, payroll, election, or vendor account, they're the predominant ones.
Right. Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
There was a couple checks, and we discussed this. There was one check in particular that I discussed that was about $30,000 to an individual. So, it's possibly, I don't know if it's back pay or some sort of, distribution that was entitled to this individual. But or does the county make any effort to try to find this person and, understand why somebody could have died? It could be due to the estate.
Frank, you saw the initial list, and that was cleared.
That check was clear. Somebody actually claimed that check?
It was a separation check. There were a couple of that magnitude.
Okay.
There was a 30, there was a 10,
11, yeah.
which didn't make sense. On the vendor side, we had $253,000 at PSE&G,
Right.
almost $11,000 at PSE&G, working through Sanjeev, our county engineer. Those have been placed stop payments on them, and they've been reissued.
Okay.
So yes, we are proactive as to try to clear up the outstanding checks.
Right. So it's really not, will these go into Myrna now, or miscellaneous revenue is not anticipated, or offsets to their appropriation if you're issuing new checks?
Myrna, miscellaneous revenue not anticipated.
All right. Okay, I'm glad to hear about those other checks. That was a concern.
So we'll
Thank
read
you.
Freeholders? Do we have a mover and a second?
Move it.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to resolutions number 3 through 5, which are the Office of the County Council. We will read them into a record at a later time. Mr. Coltry.
Mr. President, this is number 3 resolution is the purchase of property for use in the connection with Essex County Congressman Donald Payne Vocational School, and Courtney Gassion, County Council, is here to explain.
Good evening, Courtney Gassion, County Council, through you, Mr. President. Resolution number 3, as Mr. Coltry has indicated, is for the purchase of 81 South 11th Street in Newark for the amount of $250,000. You're familiar with these types of purchases that we've been making over the last 18 months now as a result of the new vocational school having opened in Newark a few weeks back. This property is adjacent to the vocational school and will be used for parking. It is a one-family house. Our anticipated closing date is July 2nd. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
Sure. Courtney, just the typical questions. Was this an owner-occupied house?
It was not owner-occupied. There were tenants occupying the home. Their lease expires June 30th, so the timing happens to work out. They will be vacating the premises and relocating.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
I have no questions.
Freeholders? Just touched on this in the leadership meeting, but can we just kind of speak to how the county approaches the local elected officials when we're going through this process?
So the local council councilman is aware of the purchases that have been taking place, as I indicated, over the last 18 months. In fact, many of the properties that we purchased have been through the city of Newark. Either they've been abandoned properties or property that have been previously owned by the city, so they are fully aware that these purchases are being made for the betterment of the neighborhood. In addition, because this property is located in Newark, it is required for us to go through the official channels through the city in order for the closing process to take place. Various different documents have to be issued, et cetera. So we do keep in full contact with them to let them know that the county is, purchasing the property and the purpose for which the property is being purchased.
So it's done in conjunction. There's a lot of communication with our local stakeholders, and we know this is an excellent project, but at the same time, the way that we have used this process has been both with the support of the community and our local elected officials, so the county's not operating in a vacuum by any stretch.
That is correct.
Okay. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? So I have a mover and a second on Resolution 3.
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Resolution number 4.
Resolution number 4 is for a professional service agreement to provide legal services for the Office of County Counsel, and County Counsel Courtney Gassion is here to explain.
Thank you, Mr. Coltry. Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Mr. President, again through you, this is, as Mr. Coltry indicated, a professional services contract to the law firm of Skowronski Hollenbeck in the amount of $50,000, not to exceed $50,000 for the period of June 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, representing an individual defendant who has been named in a litigation filed against the County of Essex.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
Yes. This is the initial contract for outside counsel on this case?
It is. The case was just filed within the last 30 days.
Okay. And I see also number 5 is for a co-defendant. How many defendants will the county be providing defense counsel for?
So there's only 2 named defendants. The individual defendant that's listed in number 4 and number 5 is the County of
That's it.
Essex.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
Has payment been made yet on the settlement?
There is no settlement. This case has just been filed.
Oh, I thought you said it was-
No, the complaint has just been filed, and we're just in the process of retaining counsel for dense purposes. Yeah.
Mr. McInerney, is that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Freeholders? Seeing none, why don't we also take number 5? And then we can take 4 and 5 together.
I'll move it.
Is there, I'm just going to, before you do that, Freeholder, can you withdraw that?
Sure. I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Resolution number 5, please.
Mr. President, professional service agreement to provide legal services, and our county counsel here, Ms. Gassion.
Again, through you, Mr. President, Courtney Gassione, Essex County Council. Number 5 is the companion resolution for the same litigation. As I indicated earlier in response to Mr. Parlavecchio's question, this is the retention through a professional services contract in the amount of $50,000, period of June 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, representing the County of Essex.
Thank you. Ms. Parlavecchio?
No additional questions.
Ms. McInerney?
I have no questions.
Freeholders? Do I have a mover and a second on resolutions number 4 and 5?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano,
Second.
second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent Freeholder Johnson, absent Freeholder Jones, absent Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel, absent Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 6. Mr. Coltrane.
This is Office of the Surrogate Contract Award to County Businesses Systems, Inc., the sole responsible and responsible bidder, Bluestone Software Maintenance. These are maintenance for specific projects that the surrogate office does, example, probating wills, et cetera. We had one bidder at a 14 potential. Last year's contract was for $27,000, which was a single year. This year, it's a 2-year contract and approximately $55,000, which is similar to the amount that they spent last year.
Thank you, Mr. Coltrane. Just for the record, we will read the resolution into the record at a later time. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders? This was under the threshold, so we don't have anyone here from the...
No, it's only $55,000,
Right.
which is $27,000 per year, Mr. President.
Okay. Do I have a mover?
I'll move, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent Freeholder Johnson, absent Freeholder Bauer, absent Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, moving to resolutions number 7 and 8, which we can read into the record at a later time, from the Citizen Services, Division of Youth Services. Mr. Coltrane.
Both 7 and 8 are Department of Citizen Service Division of Youth Service sub-grant agreements for the continuation of truancy alternative program with the City of Newark and the Municipal Court. We have Wanda Henderson here from Youth Service Commission to explain.
Yes, good evening, everyone. The Department of Citizen Services, Division of Youth Services Commission have a truancy alternative program that provides for ongoing collaborative projects administered by the Newark Municipal Court. This program is administered for families subject to the provisions of NJSSA 18A 3825 and NJSA 18A 3831. The Truancy Alternative Program provides an alternative to the monetary sanctions currently imposed on families and legal guardians of truant children. The program coordinator prepares family intake interviews, makes referrals of all court-referred truant juveniles and their families to social service providers that work to empower guardians, to improve parenting skills, and to motivate at-risk youth in an effort to curb truant behaviors.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders? Is the Juvenile Accountability Incentive Block Grant, is that a new category or new type of block grant, or is that an existing block? Is that an existing?
Mr. President, we've had it for a while.
This is okay. It's grant funded.
Yes, Mr. President. Both of them are.
Yeah, okay. Freeholders? So I have a motion on Resolution 7, moved by Freeholder Mercado. Second?
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Freeholder Palmeris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siepel, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 8. We'll read the
Number 8,
record at a
Mr.
later time.
President, the Department of Citizen Service, Division of Youth Service Interagency Agreement for West Orange Junior Police Academy Delinquency Prevention Program with the Township of West Orange from January 1, 2018 to December 31st, 2018, amount not to exceed $18,563, and this is a grant-funded program. And Wanda Henderson is here again to explain.
This delinquency preventive program is for the West Orange Junior Police Academy. The Junior Police Academy will provide 18 participants with a week-long pseudo-police academy and year-round programming, including field trips, outings, community service events, and recreational opportunities in an effort to reduce juvenile offenses, promote better relations between police officers and youth, and encourage responsible citizenship, peer behavior, and communication skills.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio?
Yes, Ms. Henderson, I see this is grant funded, is there any county match of dollars or manpower for this program?
I'm not aware of that.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders? So this has no fiscal impact on the county?
No, it's grant-funded.
Grant funded, okay. And it's administered through the...
It's an interagency agreement
Right.
between the West Orange Police Department
Right. So they...
and our county.
They actually are they actually the ones, West Orange Police Department, running the program itself?
Yes, it's operated out of the West Orange Police Department. I believe it's Lieutenant or Captain Morello.
Okay. Just to follow up on Ms. Parlavecchio's questions, are there potential opportunities with this program to engage the sheriff's office? I think was your question, is there any participation from the county outside of just funneling the grant money through?
I am not aware of it. I know that the police at the West Orange Police Academy are very engaged with the youth who are enrolled in that program. But beyond that, I'm not aware if Sheriff Fonturo's office is involved in it at all.
Okay. Just a big believer in the program, and have seen actually, Freeholder Mercado's, I know, so similar.
Right.
but
The Explorer program.
the Explorer program, which is also, based on a similar concept. So just to me, maybe there's an opportunity for even some expansion, maybe not through dollars, but through some creative use, of our own law enforcement personnel interacting, with this program. So put it on the record, and as food for thought. So.
Thank you, Mr. President. We may possibly look at it for other communities also, because community policing at the local level is the most important, whereas the county is a larger organization and serving the 22 municipalities. So we'll look into to see if there's any additional funding.
Great. Look forward to hearing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion on resolution number 8?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano. Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 9. We can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Coltry.
Mr. President, this is the Department of Citizen Service Division of Community Action contract award to 3 community-based services to provide services for victims of domestic violence within Essex County, June 1st, 2018 to May 31st, 2019, in the amount not to exceed $139,205. This was publicly advertised as a fair and open RFP competitive contract. We had 7 responses. 3 agencies are receiving contracts, and Mr. Brown is here to explain.
Good evening, Mr. President and chosen Board of Freeholders. My name is Maurice Brown. I'm the Director for the Division of Community Action, but I also happen to chair the Homeless Trust Fund, and that's where these monies actually come from, what we collected over the last couple of years through our Homeless Trust Fund. Tonight, I'd like to introduce those that are here to represent the Homeless Trust Fund, and that would be our Vice Chair, Mr. Warren Thompson, and also Mr. Michael Woods. Would you come up, please?
Good evening. Freeholder President Gill and esteemed freeholders. My name is Michael Woods. I'm grant analyst for the county, as well as corresponding secretary for the Homeless Trust Fund Task Force.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Warren Thompson. I am the Vice Chair of the Essex County Homeless Trust Fund, and I'm also Director of Operations at Integrity House.
Mr. Woods.
Sure. So this resolution would allow for the allocation of an award of the $139,205 to 3 agencies which are in the room. We have Annette McDonald from Access Family Services, Jacqueline Limehouse from My Sister's Lighthouse, and we also have Lisa Chavis from New Community Harmony House. These 3 agencies will give us the ability, I'll read out the amounts. Access Family Services will be awarded $60,000. They will be provided the emergency shelter beginning portion of the continuum for these folks. New Community Harmony House will provide the transitional housing for these folks, which is the next piece of the continuum. And then My Sister's Lighthouse will be providing the rental assistance. The overall goal of the Homeless Trust Fund is to provide permanency for these folks, and people who are victims of domestic violence or fleeing domestic violence are considered to be homeless under federal and state statutes. So we concentrated really hard on trying to figure out, what was the best allocation of money. And like Jake said, we went through an exhaustive RFP process with all the respondents, and we felt like these were the agencies that would be able for us to tackle this initiative head on.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Pellervecchio.
Yes, just to clarify, the Homeless Trust Fund dollars, maybe this goes to Mr. Brown, is that the money that's collected with the recording of certain instruments in the registrar's office? It's the $3 or so per document?
Through you, Mr. President, yes, it is.
Okay. So it's really starting to, I guess the fund is starting to build, and
That's correct.
that's tremendous.
Excellent. Mr. McInerney.
Yes, this is resolution number 9, right? Which
Yes.
reads domestic violence?
That is correct.
Okay, so it is under that. And there is no match on this. This is the monies that are strictly coming from that fund.
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
Freeholders. Questions or comments? You know, just a comment. One, to thank you for your work, you know, on this issue. Also to thank the representatives of the providers who were in the audience tonight. In the documentation that we were given, you know, for this, there were 6 in 2015, over 6,000 reported incidents of domestic violence, you know, in our county alone. There have been numerous incidents already in 2018. Unfortunately, there is a unbelievable demand and need for this, you know, for this service for the community. And so thank you for all that you're doing to help try to deal with this issue. Thank you. Freeholders, do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Mercado.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Freeholder Palmeris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Moving to resolution number 10, 10, 11, and 12, which are all in the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. We'll read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Coltry.
Mr. President, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract award to Challenge Tower, Inc., the sole responsible bidder to provide inspection service, maintenance, equipment, and training program for a treetop adventure course, June 25th, 2018 to June 24th, 2020, amount not to exceed $351,743,000. We had one bidder out of 14 potential. The vendor is from North Carolina. Last contract, vendor at $226,801 spent, and we spent $152,790. Kate Harquett is here to explain, as well as the vendor.
Good evening. Kate Hartwig, Deputy Director for the County Park System. And I brought with me tonight Darrell Johnson. He's the manager of our Treetop Adventure Ropes Course at South Mountain Reservation. This contract is for a twice-a-year inspection of the course. During that inspection, they identify any areas of the obstacles, platforms, wires that might need repair. They also inspect the equipment that's in use and its replacement or retirement, depending on its number of uses. They also advise us of any recalls in equipment and things that need to be replaced. This contract also provides for training of our rescue guides and staff. All of the staff at the ropes course are seasonal county employees. We do have turnover from season to season, and new staff that come on do then need to be trained in the procedures of the course. But Darrell will show you a little bit of the equipment that we maintain at the course.
Thank you.
Here I have the helmets, and you can see over time they kind of start to get ran through a little bit. Then we have to replace them with newer helmets because everybody, when they come, they want to have a nice, clean helmet and feel safe when they're up there. Also, we have harnesses. Each individual participant gets a harness, which is put on by the staff. The harnesses are inspected on a weekly basis and also before we start. And all our guides are trained on how to inspect the harness because everyone's constantly using them. Harnesses, like I said, as well, over time they start to, get a little dirty, they don't look as good, and they have to be retired. And then we have to put new harnesses into the rotation. Other things that we have is our safety equipment, where we do rescues with, which this is an ID. We don't have to do a lot of rescues at Treetop, so we're trying to make sure everybody gets through there. But the equipment is 100% safe. You do need training in order to use it. It can be complicated if you don't understand what's going on, so the classes and training are very important for the guides. Also, the equipment that the guides use, these are claws. Over the seasons, the claws can change. Like this is one example about 3 years ago, what we were using. I do keep them for training purposes so they understand the difference when they start the new training classes. So this is one example. And, this is the newer claws that we use. As you can see, here they added this, and this is for in case you were to slip off in the fall. Of course, it would give you extra cushion, so to speak. That makes it easier. But you can see the equipment totally changed and got a little more innovative. The last thing, as you go around the course, the most important part of it is the safe roller. This is what you use to get around the course. It's a continuous system that you're clipped into, and you don't get unclipped till you finish. I don't know if anyone's ever been there before, but the safe rollers also have to be inspected. I know I probably don't have time, but there's certain aspects of it that you need to inspect. Like here, there's the 3 little slots, and as they wear away, you need to go send these back to Sean Towers, and they replace the tops. And then they come back, and as long as they're good, we put them back into rotation. If not, we don't use them. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Barlavecchio.
Ms. Hartwick, this vendor for maintenance, is the vendor specifically trained or certified by the manufacturer of the equipment?
Yeah, so this particular vendor is the vendor who installed the ropes course originally in 2014.
Okay. So they have whatever
They have all of the
specific
knowledge and-
certifications?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
I'm just curious, how's our safety record with the Treetop?
100%.
So that's good.
100%.
Yes, exactly.
100%, meaning there's never, that meaning there's never.
We've had rescues, but nothing, and small incidents, no major injuries or anything of that nature.
What usually causes a
Rescue?
A rescue?
Darrell could probably speak to this, but a lot of times it's just a scared person who freezes and paralyzes.
Right, usually once they get to a certain level of distress.
To the mic.
Once you get to a certain level of like distress, usually we try to push the children to go through it because it builds the confidence as they go for things bigger than this, like when they take family trips and things like that to other countries where they have way bigger zip lines and things like that. But usually a rescue would be dehydration. Sometimes the rescue guy may ask if you have a complication, like you have a heart thing, a high blood pressure, we may bring you down for that just so we don't push you to your limits. But other than that, most of the time everybody's finishing and getting through the course. So most of the time it has to do with either excessive crying or it just gets a little too far.
I apologize. What's the average time that it takes to complete the course?
Depending on traffic, we rate it between the adult course, because there's 2 separate courses, an adult and a junior course. The adult course, we rate it from a half an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. And the junior course, we rate from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on traffic, because it can get very busy at times with high volume of customers. Not only through the reservation system, but we take the walk-ups because everybody's visiting the zoo, and as they come, we're trying to accommodate everyone the best we can.
Okay. Ms. McInerney, any additional?
Is there any, is the increase in the use of this proportional to the increase in the people that have been coming to the zoo? In other words, it's expanded in terms of the use?
Yes, we've seen an increase in usership every year as we move through. Last year, we added a group rate so that we could accommodate more day camps and school groups on days when we're not open to the public. So we are seeing increased users.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Freeholders? Freeholder Richardson, Vice President Richardson, thank you.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. The company is from North Carolina, but you're not. Is that correct? You're a local Essex County resident?
Yes, I'm
Fantastic. Smart company. You seem very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Additional questions, Freeholders? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 11.
The AC touch.
Ms. Coultry.
Mr. President, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract change of 20% order with Britain Electric to provide general electric improvements, maintenance, repairs, new installations, add in an amount not to exceed $74,909.48. This is a change order due to the fact that our original bid was exceeded, so we need to do additional funds to complete maintenance and repairs at the various parks throughout the county. The other thing is we have also already gone out for bid with a new vendor, and we are waiting for a recommendation from the Parks Department. And Kate is here to explain any other information.
I don't have anything else to add other than what Mr. Coultry said, but certainly if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Mr. Parlavecchia.
Yeah. What was the original contract cost?
From $374,547.40.
I can't do math that fast. How much percent is that? Okay.
I have a pencil, what erase.
20%.
20%. 20? I think so.
It should be 20%.
About 20%.
It is 20%.
Exactly.
Which is by state statute, you're only allowed to do 20% change order.
That's why I asked the big questions.
That's why I'm the purchasing agent.
Ms. McInerney.
This is strictly coming out of the, the budget line items, not
Yes,
capital.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Freeholders. Vice President Richardson.
The change order was due to what?
They exceeded the amount that for various projects throughout the park system, and they needed additional funds, so they increased it by 20%, and we had to go out for an additional vendor, which came back within the last week.
So what did so did they essentially underbid, or was it more work?
I believe it was probably more work.
Yeah, I could speak to that. As you are familiar with, in the last 6 months or so, we've had a number of storms, and this particular vendor does repairs to any lighting in our park system that gets damaged by storm. So inside the zoo, for example, we have light fixtures taken out by trees, and storm damage escalates those costs.
Thank you.
McInerney.
So this was a not to exceed.
Originally, yes.
Costs, whether they're hourly and certain material costs, and it's just that it went above that.
Correct.
The need.
Well, it will be. They haven't spent the $74,000.
They may not.
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Okay. Was there a list provided of the projects that were covered in the authorized allocation?
Well, they were going to use it at Branchbrook Park, South Mountain Reservation, and various senior buildings throughout the park system. Possibly Deputy Director will explain more.
Sure. So the primary purpose of the award at this point is to make sure that there's no gap in services at this time of year when the parks are in high use and we have a large number of repairs that could potentially come in.
Right. I guess my question is it possible for, and understand the need and fully support that, but is it possible for the board to understand where the $374,000, how that was, the projects that was spent on?
So this contract fills a need for electrical services, generally speaking.
Right.
So it's really repair of things as they break, not special projects or construction per se. So I could potentially come back with a list of
Could you
some
just
of
give
the
us
more
some
major
Could you
repairs.
just, for the record, just give some examples of what that would be?
So an example would be a tree damaged a transformer at not at the Turtleback Zoo, but at the recreation complex. And that replacement was $25,000. So some of the repairs that we do are not small light fixture fuses and boxes, but are larger power service issues.
Mr. President, we can also give you a list via our purchase orders, because every time they are doing a project, we are creating a purchase order that we don't encumber the entire 374 up front. We do it as a purchase order every time they have a project.
Right, got it.
Mr. President?
Sure, Ms. McInerney.
Yeah, this is very typical, though. We have this for roofing.
Yes.
So we have a not to exceed for roofing, and it's really general in nature, as the roofing needs repairs, and it's a not to exceed, and there's an hourly rate for charge and a charge for materials. The same thing for, tree cutting. We have the same thing for that as well, not to exceed. So there are multiple contracts that we have like this that usually come in much less. So I guess the board's just a little curious, and wants to
Well, the
know
other
why
thing is
why
this,
it's so
we've
much
also had an increase in storms.
Yeah, I understand.
And when you have, just like over the weekend, we had a, thunderstorm knocking down trees, knocking down power lines, et cetera. They all need to be maintained.
I think what I'm saying is, this is a very typical type of contract, number one, but it's rarely we see it coming back for 20% more. So
correct.
Those are 2 points I make. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. McInerney. Exactly. I mean, it's a substantial increase to come back for, and what I'm trying to understand is we have obviously much more increased use, of our facilities. We have expansion, all good things. So are we going to anticipate seeing more of this, or how we're thinking about that? Or is it just, I understand that this is a typical type of contract that we award, also seeing more weather-related, clearly with the, although there's no such thing as climate change. Sorry, I couldn't resist. We're seeing a clear change in our weather patterns over the last 5 years.
And like I said, Mr. President, we do have possibly a new contractor coming in for the electrical service that like I said, we just went out to bid, and the bids came back recently.
Okay. Freeholder, any additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
So move.
Second, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Mercado, second by Freeholder Palmaris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebol, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmaris.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Resolution number 10. That's 12.
12. Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs amended to Resolution 2016-00904, parking lease for 555 Northfield Avenue, West Orange. The parking lot at 555 Northfield Avenue was sold to a new corporation, which is CECE Holding Corporation, and this is a name change on the resolution, so when we have our W-9s and our business registration certificates, everything matches so we can pay the vendor.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
Right. And there's no change in cost for this
No,
contract? Just
none
the
at
name.
all, just the name.
Where is, I guess it's near the zoo.
It's right across the street from the zoo at the, I can't think, the Northfield Motel, is it?
The old
Turtlebrook.
Mr. McInerney?
Did you say this was for employee parking?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it's for, right? Mr. President,
Yep, Ms. McInerney, sure,
was it
please.
ever explored whether or not the county would purchase that property? Or
Not to my knowledge at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Freeholders? So it's a change in ownership. Okay. Motion or second?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions 13 through 15, Department of Public Works. We'll read them into a record at a later time. Resolution 13, Mr. Culture.
Department of Public Works, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract award to Roofins QC Inc. to provide sampling and testing of groundwater monitoring wells, exercising contract extension option August 1st, 2018 to July 31st, 2020, amount not to exceed $47,236.10. This is open-ended as needed. Operating funds for Public Works is $12,818.50, and the Parks Department spends $34,417.60. Same amount as the previous 2 years that was spent.
Thank you, Mr. Culture. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
So I had questions about this at the last meeting, at the leadership meeting, with regard to underground storage tanks and things like, and how many wells. So there's 4 wells at the DPW yard. Are those being monitored through this contract?
I believe so.
Okay, and then there's 6 wells at South Mountain composting facility. Are they
Correct.
also being monitored?
Yes.
All right. And the last question that I had, and you answered it here, county has 9 storage tanks, but not part of this contract. So really not part of this contract, but are those storage tanks being used, underground storage tanks?
We have a totally separate contract for that.
Right.
And they are being monitored via that contract. Yes.
So all underground wells
And storage tanks.
And storage tanks.
Yes, are being monitored on 2 different contracts.
Under 2 different contracts for environmental, issues.
Correct.
If they have. Okay.
Freeholders? Do you have a mover and a second?
Move.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to resolution number 14.
Department of Public Works, Division of Fleet Management, contract award to D&S Automotive Inc. and Samuels Inc., trading as Buy-Wise Auto Parts to provide auto and light truck parts, exercising a 2-year contract extension option, amount not to exceed $400,000. This was a previous contract agreement for $400,000, and it was fully spent. This is open-ended as needed. Both D&S is from Cedar Grove, and the vendor is here, and Buy-Wise is from Vauxhall, Springfield Avenue, and both vendors will be glad to come to the mic. Jim Calabro. And Joe Capoli.
Yes. You want us together or separate? How do you want us?
Just go up to the mic and state your name.
State your name and affiliation.
Your affiliation.
Joe Capoli, D&S Automotive President.
Jim Calabro, Buy-Wise Auto Parts, Samuels Incorporated, General Manager.
Ron Dahlhaus, Samuels Inc., Buy-Wise Auto Parts General Manager.
Okay. Would you like to expand at all on the contract?
We've been a supplier to the county for many years. We've been a supplier to Bergen County, Passaic County, many of the local municipalities. My competitor here is also doing the same thing. We provide high-quality parts. We custom tailor our inventory to your fleets. We're constantly down at the garages figuring out what product you have, what product needs to come back, constantly turning it over. And one thing about us and also my competition here is we sell quality product. A lot of stuff out in the field now is less than superior, and one thing that we've always done is we sell quality product. Most of our stuff, all of our stuff is guaranteed, and we don't really cut corners bringing in things. You can put an oil filter on your car for 99 cents, or you can put a $6 oil filter on your car. The reason why it's $6 is because it's a better oil filter, and both me and my competitor here sell the same quality product. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you.
Just state your name again for the record.
Joe Capoli.
Oh, sorry. Ron Dahlhaus, Samuels Inc., Bywise Auto Parts General Manager. Well stated by Mr. Capoli. We are competitors, but certainly friendly competitors. To expand on what Mr. Capoli said, we, in addition to the traditional aftermarket parts that probably most of you guys and gals have heard of, names like Monroe, Walker Exhaust, Wagner brake products. We also have your OE parts. We have AC Delco products, and we also have Motorcraft products. The same parts that came off the vehicle, we are the OE supplier to most dealers in the northern part of the state. In addition to that, besides you buying your parts from us, we do a few things beyond the sale. We're training your technicians. We have technical training seminars done not by manufacturers, but by independent trainers that'll help your technicians fix your vehicles better, faster, and more efficiently. In addition, we have a tech man that comes out to your shops and to your locations if you're having a problem fixing a vehicle. Today's vehicles have more computers on it than the Apollo spacecrafts that went to the moon. Our guys are able to help diagnose those problems, and we have the parts certainly to fix your cars just like with the parts just like they were brand new. Also, we also do training within your shop, not also off premises. So again, it's a win-win for your shops and your locations. And I thank you also for considering us for the contract. We certainly appreciate all you do.
No questions. McInerney.
Do we maintain the inventory ourselves? Do we have a level of inventory at our garages that you keep stocked?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I'm sorry, James Calabro, Calabro. We maintain an inventory at our warehouses. We have 5 warehouses that are at your disposal. So, our goal is that try not to keep you flooded with inventory. Let us keep the inventory. Use our drivers. Use our service. That's a free charge, of course. So we want to keep you lean and mean and not overstock your facility. And as Joe said, which was very good, that the inventories that we try to keep for your vehicles, we do fleet surveys. So what we do is we take the VINs from your vehicles and we match those parts to what you need, maybe an inventory that is just emergency purposes or the guys need to go to. And we are, just so you know, that we are open during emergency situations, storms, or damage. Our facility is open. We have generators at our facility. All the guys have our cell phone numbers. We open up our businesses to supply you guys through any downtime or anything that makes sure you're up and running, that you're out there with your trucks, and we are supporting you in every effort, in every way we can. Thank you so much.
So our inventory in our garages is left at a minimum. So we're not.
Absolutely.
So it says on as-need basis.
Through you, Mr. President, most of our inventory, what I'm trying to do throughout the county is reduce the inventory, because nowadays, within 24 hours, you can have a product on your shelf or available for a car.
Most of our deliveries are done within the hour, and we're right in Cedar Grove, and we deliver to the facility there. So we keep a minimal inventory, mostly the real fast-moving brake rotors, brake pads, oil filters, things that you're using every day, and we're there in 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
It's a terrible business.
Freeholders.
Can I ask a question of the Freeholder Board? What would happen if everybody showed up tonight? How would you guys be sitting here? Just curious.
Squeezed in.
Work it out.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Sure.
Perhaps for Ms. Coulter, but what are our criteria for condemning a vehicle? At a certain point, it may not be worth keeping. So what, do we have those criteria? Do you gentlemen weigh in at all? Do you ever ask at what point to?
Usually the Department of Fleet Management will make a recommendation to the Department Director, Mr. Sanjeev Vargas, regarding mileage, et cetera, damage to vehicle, was it an accident, et cetera. And then the recommendation comes back down to me, we bring it to the board, and that's how we condemn.
But I mean, specific, or is it just based on inspection? I mean, do you at like 130,000 miles say?
I don't know that answer. We can get it for you, Mr. Freeholder, and Department of DPW can give us the answer to that.
Okay, good, thank you. Just as a comment, I mean, I saw the list of parts, I'm a little familiar with it. So these are the quality parts that a certain gearhead here would probably buy for his person. But there are quality parts, and there are the most common things that you'd want to seek for this.
Can I say one thing? Freeholder.
Put your name back on the record, please.
James Calabro. He mentioned about decommissioning vehicles. One thing we like to do is, when that happens, you decommission a vehicle, we return those parts off your shelf, so they don't lay there. Also, most guys will not recognize sometimes and leave those things hanging. You decommission, we take them out.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments, Freeholders?
Just one, my usual. So both of you companies are from Essex County, so I know both of you have Essex County residents who you employ.
Absolutely.
Great. Absolutely. Fantastic.
Even better, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Do I have any additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll be happy to move it, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Palmera, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Jones, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Moving to Resolution 15.
Department of Public Works Division Building and Grounds contract awarded to the Elevator Maintenance Corporation, the lowest responsible bidder, provided elevator maintenance service at various locations in our county buildings from July 1st, 2018 to July 30th, 2021, not to exceed $1,720,068, and our vendor is here from MCO Elevators.
Thank you.
This is also Union Shop, Local 3 IBEW, 17 employees, 3 are from Essex, and they did complete the aspirational goals.
My name is Vincent Shank. I'm president of Elevator Maintenance Corporation. We currently provide service at all the county buildings since 2013. Various buildings in Essex County, as well as 350 Doremus Ave, Essex County Jail.
Thank you, Ms. Palavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
Is there any part of this contract allocated to parts and supplies?
Everything is, this is a full-service contract. Everything is included. There's no additional cost to the county. This is a full-service agreement.
So it's not a not to exceed, this is full service? This is what it's going to cost?
Yes.
We'll max out this contract?
No, it's not to exceed $1,720,000, but everything is included within that price.
I believe they allocated $150,000 a year for additional repairs over and above the contract, which never gets spent.
No, how much of this contract did we spend last year, or how much on an annual basis?
Maintenance is $2,645,816, and we spent $2,000,000 $38,000 out of that.
And that was a 3-year contract last time?
It was competitive
That was 5,
contract,
so
yes.
now it's down to 3. Okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Freeholders, questions or comments? Vice President Richardson.
Glad to see a union shop here, and you have Essex County residents, very important.
Thank you, yes.
Appreciate you.
As well as myself. No longer, but long time.
Retired? IBAW?
No, I was an Essex County resident.
Oh.
Till I was 30.
Also, you left?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Grew up in the projects on 7th Avenue.
Ah, man.
10 Sheffield Drive.
Know real well.
14.
You guys should have a reunion.
I'd like to move it.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice President Richardson. Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones absent. Freeholder Johnson absent. Freeholder Bauer absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you. We're going to move to Resolutions 16 through 19. We're going to read them into the record at a later time. Resolution 16.
Yes, the Office of the Prosecutor contract awarded Tritech Forensic, Inc., the lowest responsible bidder, to provide criminal investigation supplies and equipment. This is a 2-year agreement, amount not to exceed $50,000. They supply various forensic gloves, et cetera, for investigations.
Thank you, Ms. Parvecchio.
No questions.
Ms. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer absent. Freeholder Johnson absent. Freeholder Jones absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Coltree, Resolution 7.
Office of the Sheriff contract awarded Best Technology System to furnish and deliver rubber laminates exercising contract to extension June 23rd, 2018 to June 22nd, 2020. These are the rubber backings when you go out to the range.
Thank you. Ms. Parvecchio.
No questions.
Ms. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders. Do you have a mover and a second?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones absent. Freeholder Johnson absent. Freeholder Bauer absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Resolution 18.
Insertion of items of revenue from the State of New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. Click it or ticket, Office of the Sheriff. The amount is $5,500, and the service was from May 21st to June 3rd, 2018. Seatbelt enforcement throughout various towns in Essex County.
Ms. Parvecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders. Mover and a second.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Freeholder Sebo absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones absent. Freeholder Johnson absent. Freeholder Bauer absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Resolution 19.
Department of Administration and Finance Office of Purchasing approval of the omnibus resolution for the purchase of goods and services from July 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018, amount not to exceed $5,045,000. The first half of the year from January until now, out of the $4,715,000 we were allocated, we have spent so far $4,285,000 on various supplies and various vendors for state contracts and other co-ops.
Thank you. Mr. Parvecchio.
Just a quick comment. This is basically a pre-authorization for a number of items that we get off of a number of different contracts, state contracts.
State contracts, co-ops, paying other various bills, that utility bills, et cetera.
Otherwise, we'd be here till 3 o'clock in the morning every Wednesday night.
And Thursdays.
And Thursdays.
Routine business. Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders, mover and a second.
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebol, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones, absent Freeholder Johnson, absent Freeholder Bauer, absent Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, we're going to move to resolution number 35, which is an added starter. We'll read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Coltrane.
Office of the County Administrator, Office of Risk Management, contract extension with PMA Management Corporation to provide workers' compensation program, third-party claims administrator service from July 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2018. And we realize that this particular contract was expiring at the end of the month. We need to do an extension at this particular time, and we will be going out to bid for a new contractor or whoever provides the best opportunity for us.
Mr. Paravecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Essentially to go, so we can go out and solicit.
Correct.
Okay. Freeholders, questions, comments? Mover in a second.
Move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent Freeholder Johnson, absent Freeholder Jones, absent Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebol, absent Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolutions 20 through 34 are all commendations, proclamations, and memoriams. Do we have a mover and a second on 20 through 34?
Read it to the record.
And we'll read it into the record at a later time. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. President, I'd like to be added to 28,
No problem.
if you don't mind.
Yes.
Absolutely. Please.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Freeholder Luciano. I didn't realize that was yours.
You want to do it by acclamation?
You could do it by acclamation, too. That would be great.
I'll stay.
Thanks.
Yeah, we should do that by acclamation.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions on our resolution on 20 through 34? Memoriams, proclamations, commendations, and support resolutions. Do I have a mover and a second?
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by Freeholder Palmares, second by Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bauer, absent Freeholder Johnson, absent Freeholder Jones, absent Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebol, absent Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to report of board committees, legislative reports, written communication, unfinished business, new business. Okay, let's go to public comment. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any matter, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there's no one wishing to speak at this time. Freeholders, any comments that you would like to make? Seeing or hearing? No? Oh, Vice President Richardson. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, through you.
No, no reason.
I know we had a moment of silence for Kevin Ryan. I just want to say on the record, one of the really, really good guys, and keep his family and you know, him and his family in each and every one of our prayers. And always take a moment to be kind to someone. You never know what a person is going through. And sometimes you just can't tell. That's all.
Thank you, Vice President Richardson. I would just say I'm still, I'm sure like many of us, in a certain degree of shock, but I think we'll have some other opportunities also to speak on the record too, about Under Sheriff Ryan, what he meant to this county, and again, I would just ask that we all keep him in our prayers, and his family in our prayers. So, any additional Freeholder comments? Have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.